Do you ever get to the end of the month and think, where did all my money go? Because I do. So in this video, we are going to find out exactly where all of my money went in the month of January. Hi, I'm Lee from Mortgage Freely. I talk about money and mum life on the internet. We do budget with me's around here, and the last one we did was my January budget, or my 2026 household budget. In fact, I think we did like the budget for the year and what it was going to look like. And there are a lot of changes in that budget because I have actually just become self-employed, which means I don't get a salary anymore. So if you want to go watch that, I will link it in the description box. But one thing that I said in that video is one of the things that I really need to start implementing is tracking my spending. So I am really good at setting up the budget, but I don't have a system in place for reviewing how well it went. Obviously, I know if I've got money left or I don't have money left at the end of the month. I never have money left, spoiler alert, because I'm a zero-based budgeter. It's supposed to be like that. But I have absolutely no concept of whether or not we are spending within our categories, because I don't track it. I don't track it at all. I don't review it. I don't look back on it. And I think that's been a downfall on why we've been struggling to stick to our budgets. And if we are going to adjust to the big changes in our family's life and our income, we really need to be tracking spending. So I'm going to start looking back at the end of each pay month on where all of our money went. How did we spend it? What went well? What didn't go well? How realistic are the budget categories that I've set for myself? Because one thing I don't want to do is be setting myself up to fail by having an unrealistic budget. And that is exactly what we're doing today. We are going to go through absolutely every single thing that went out of our bank accounts from the moment we got paid to right now. Just before we start, to give you a little bit of context, we budget as a household. So what you're going to see today is our household spending, not just my spending, our household spending. We are a family of 4, we've got 2 kids, we've got a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old, there is me and my husband. My husband works full-time, he's employed, and I have just taken a career break from my job and I am now fully self-employed, which has been a huge change for us. It means that our budget has obviously lost my entire salary. I was only part-time in my work, but we got paid pretty well. So it's about £1,500 a month that we no longer have. So now we need to use my self-employed income, which is obviously variable, unpredictable, and it's been a whole big change. Essentially, we are trying to budget mostly off my husband's salary. And when I set up our budget for 2026 and how that would look, I had to decrease our variable spending, and that is what we're going to talk about today. So we're not going to be going through bills because our bills are a set amount. We go through that in the budget with me. So if you want to see that, do watch those videos. But our bills are a set amount, nothing changes there. So whatever we set out in the budget with me is what our bills are. And then I have sinking funds as well. But what we are going to talk about is our variable spending, so the money that we live off, if that makes any sense. I like to keep my categories really simple, so I have the categories of fun, food, miscellaneous and petrol. And that is very simply, food is pretty much anything that you buy in the supermarket, which does include household items, which sometimes makes me feel like, why have I spent so much money on food? And I haven't necessarily, it's because we also include household. But if you can buy it in the supermarket, pretty much comes under food. Fun is anything that we do that is not necessary, that we do for entertainment, etc. Taking the kids to the cinema. I get my daughter McDonald's on a Friday as like a little end of the week treat. That is not necessary, so I don't count that as a food spend, I count that as a fun spend. Coffee shops, the obvious things that would come under fun. Petrol is petrol, pretty self-explanatory. Miscellaneous is basically everything that doesn't fit into those categories. So random Amazon buys, clothing purchases, medications, anything that doesn't come into the other 3 categories. But this month, when I'm doing my spending tracking, I've actually added another category that I didn't budget for because I didn't know it was going to happen. So when I set up my budget, I had my 4 categories that I always have. But when I'm tracking my spending, I actually want to separate out one of those categories because it was an unexpected category this month, and that is home improvements. Because we've decided to make some budget home improvements, which initially was painting the wall in the living room, moving our furniture around and getting a few budget bits to go with it. But then our shower tray broke. Like literally, the only shower in the house, the thing that you stand on, the shower tray, broke, cracked. Couldn't use it anymore. My husband's had to take it out. We've had to do this ourselves. He's had to take it out. He's had to buy a new shower tray. Holy moly, they're a lot more expensive than I thought they were. He's had to get the tools and whatnot to fix this shower tray. So there have definitely been some unexpected spends on home. Now, I could put them under miscellaneous, but I want to separate them out and see how much money we spent on home specifically, because we wouldn't usually be spending that money. And I actually think that this month has gone really well. We've been trying to do a low spend month in the sense of not doing some of the things that we would have done before without thinking. So we've been trying to spend really intentionally. And I think that that has helped us to absorb the cost of all of these home improvements. So I really want to see how much of what we spent has gone to home. So let's get into the spreadsheet. I will show you what numbers we were supposed to be working to, and then we'll have a look at what we spent and see what happened in reality. Because I think sometimes we can kid ourselves about how much we're spending, and the only way to know is to look. Okay, so we're into the spreadsheet here. Basically, our pay month is not like the 1st of January to the end of January. It's the 25th of January to the 25th of December. That's when pay comes in again. In December, my husband actually got paid early, but we didn't spend that money until his normal payday because I just think that creates so many problems. January is long enough. We don't need to make it worse. So that's when our month runs to. It is currently the 20th of January, but it's Tuesday the 20th of January. So we have Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday to get through. Then money will be coming back in. Essentially, we're not going to spend any money in those 3 days because the kids are in childcare, the kids are in school, we're working, and we haven't got any money to spend. So we're good to go on totting up these expenses because there won't be any more. So we're going to come straight over to the expenses section of the spreadsheet, which is where the variable spending is recorded. Now, I set my budget in the 2026 household budget to be £525 on food, £200 a month on fun, £200 a month on miscellaneous. I had to reduce those because I just didn't have enough budget to have the numbers that I had before, and £350 a month on petrol because we legit spent £300+ the last time that I checked how much petrol we bought, which was somewhat mind-blowing, and I wasn't happy about it, but it is what it is. That's how much we spent, so I had to increase the budget. Now I've added on the little home category, but I obviously didn't budget for it, so there's no number in there. So we're just going to see how it went. Okay, so we're coming into the expense tracker. I have already filled this out, but we're going to go through it. So what you need to consider here is that there are some spends that are more than they would usually be in a typical week because when this budget period started, it was Christmas. It was the Christmas period. The children were off school, so we had to keep them entertained, which was difficult because it was so cold. It was freezing. We actually had snow, which is quite unusual in England. And my husband was off with me and the kids, so it was quite unusual for us to all be off for that amount of time together, and we just wanted to make the most of it. So it was intentional spends, but more than we would usually spend. Now, the first thing that we've got here is £19 at B&M. I have no idea what we bought. I would say it's probably cat-related items. I couldn't tell you. Then we had a little cinema trip, so there was some money in there for the kids' food at the cinema and also extra money for like the tickets. There's a little food shop in there. We also went to the ice cream farm, which is like a local attraction. £7 was on the entry tickets, and when you see further down, there was about £14 or £15 spent on actual ice cream at the ice cream farm. We're really lucky with the ice cream farm that we have this like play pass that we bought a million years ago. I keep thinking they're going to stop us from using them, but essentially we don't have to pay for anything else when we're in there. If you didn't have that, it would be such an expensive day out, but we do have that and they're still letting us use them. So I thought we better go just in case they stop us from using them this year. So we went, and it's like a full day out for the kids. They really enjoyed it, and it cost us about £22 in total with the entry, the ice cream, and obviously we'll be using our pass for everything else. So as far as a full day out for the family goes, it was pretty cost effective, but we don't usually do that. We wouldn't usually be spending £22 on a day out because we don't go on big days out every weekend. It's not in our budget, and it's just not the way life is. I mean, I'd love it to be, but it's just not. So that was an unusual spend. Then we come into the start of the home costs because we spontaneously decided to paint the living room black, and between the paint, which wasn't cheap, and a roller and something else, maybe some tape, it was £57.68. I did get cash back on that using my bank account, which was great. I think I got 10% cash back, which is really good. But again, we wouldn't usually be spending almost £60 on paint in a typical week, month. We have a McDonald's spend. This was to get both the kids a Happy Meal because we were coming home from a friend's house because we've been visiting a friend. Again, not that common to go and visit a friend on a weekend. It was because it was a festive period. The kids needed some food, so we got them a McDonald's. Then we have some food spends. I've got a little star next to the Tesco part because I got cash back on this using the EverUp app, which is great. I will pop referral links for any apps that I mention in the description box. I spent £11 on a birthday gift for one of my daughter's friends. There's some petrol costs. This McDonald's here is for my daughter. So this is like her weekly treat. So it's £4.29 for a Happy Meal. I do have quite a few McDonald's rewards points, so I got her a McFlurry using those, like a little one. Then I had a little afternoon with my mum. We went around the charity shops. I spent £15. I think I bought a mixing bowl, and I bought my husband a laptop bag. That's what those costs were. And then my mum had paid for something for me, so I bought us coffee at the coffee shop. We've got 40p for a carry bag at Tesco because I had bought my gift card to buy the shopping on EverUp, but I didn't have a carrier bag, so I had to get a carrier bag. Then again, an unusual spend is home decor. We are not serial DIYers. We don't change the decor of our house every 5 minutes. Literally, what's in this house has been here for like 10 years. So that is why we are sorting the house out now, bit by bit and on a budget. And this was a picture, 2 bedside lamps, because we haven't had a bedside lamp for actual years since I was broke, and a big lamp that I absolutely love. And £50 honestly was a brilliant price for everything I got. So I was really happy with that spend, but it's an unusual one. Again, we've got £8.50 at the charity shop, £31.44 because I had to get a phone case. I got a new phone. I was able to buy that from my business expenses because it is a business expense, but I wanted a really good phone case. So that was £31.44. I actually used the Sprive app to get that one. So I've already talked about EverUp, which is a cashback app. In the UK, you go on, you buy a gift card, they give you instant gift card cashback. It's brilliant. I get so much cashback. I absolutely love it. I talk about it in every single food shop video because I use it all the time. But not many cashback apps do Amazon cashback. And the Sprive app is a cashback app with a difference. So it's an instant gift card cashback app like the other. So you go on it, you buy a gift card, they give you instant gift card cashback. You then pay at the shop with your gift card. That's how it works. But Sprive is different because instead of being able to withdraw your cashback, you can use it to pay off your mortgage. You can overpay your mortgage with it. And obviously that's one of our big financial goals, is to be mortgage free. And Sprive is one of the few places that has Amazon cashback. So I made sure that I got my 1%. It's only 1%, but it's 1% that's going off my mortgage instead of to Jeff Bezos. So it's a no-brainer for me. Again, I'll pop the referral links for anything in the description box. So we've got £9 for a garden centre breakfast. That was for me. Actually got a really good deal because I got breakfast and a coffee for £9 at the garden centre. Bargain. And I went there to sort of change my work environment. So that was an intentional spend and I'm fine with it. We went to M&S one evening. We got some sweets for the kids. We got a nice pizza, got a nice salad. I think we also bought my son some underwear because we're starting potty training. So it actually wasn't just food, that one. It was also £10, I think, is miscellaneous. But I'm not going to start separating them out. We bought it at a grocery shop. I count it as food. We've got some more food spends here, petrol spends, Subway for my daughter. I did use some Subway points, which is why it's so cheap. Got an Aldi shop, a birthday gift for my nephew. I could take that out of the sinking fund, but at this point I thought we can just absorb this cost into the budget. Again, some more food spends, petrol, and then we start with the Amazon miscellaneous spends. So I was ill over Christmas, my son was ill, I needed to get some more Calpol plug-in refills, I needed to get some Vicks for me, I also needed to get some more kids' toothpaste, so that is what all that was. I didn't want to go to the shop, so I ordered it on Amazon. My husband spent £44.94 at Screwfix, again to deal with the shower tray emergency, and it was an emergency. Another petrol spend. Me, my husband and my daughter went to the garden centre for breakfast one day when she was off school and my son wasn't. And it was really lovely. I really enjoyed it. It's quite rare for us to do that. So that's what that is. And then again, we've got things like the coffee shop, Sainsbury's. That is the ice cream at the ice cream farm that I mentioned earlier. Food. Then £32.5p at Amazon because we needed to buy some tarpaulin because the kids' uncles bought them a massive garden-sized Connect 4 for Christmas. And we needed a tarpaulin to put over it so we can put it out in the garden because it was in my kitchen. And then we needed a heat detector for the kitchen because we apparently didn't have one. And there have been some news stories that have freaked me out a bit. And I was like, no, we need a heat detector. So it was essential, really. I don't know why we didn't have a heat detector in here. It's the kitchen. We spent £14.30 at a coffee shop after taking the kids for a bike ride. Honestly, that coffee shop visit probably wasn't worth it. The service was slow. The coffee was mediocre. But the bike ride was excellent. And the promise of the coffee shop got the kids through. So take that one on the chin, but I won't be going back to that coffee shop. And this is the benefit of going through your spends and thinking to yourself, how do I feel about that now? Like after some time has passed, how do I feel about that purchase? Well, that coffee shop will not be getting £14.30 off me again anytime soon. £12.95, I think that's a gift that my husband has bought me for our anniversary, which is coming up. Then £8.38 was my husband and son going to Subway. So on the same day that I took my daughter to Subway, we basically divided and conquered. I took my daughter to do the food shop, took her to Subway. My husband took my son to the tip or recycling centre or whatever you call it, wherever you live. Because we had so much cardboard for Christmas, we needed to recycle it. So he took him there and then he took him to Subway as a treat. So that's what that is. More petrol. Then again, we have some unusual spends that we wouldn't usually have. And I'm really pleased that we've actually absorbed all of this into our budget, because in a usual month, we would have spent all this money and we wouldn't have all of these home costs and we wouldn't have these costs here that I'm about to talk about. And we'd have still spent all of our money. So I do feel like you can really see that we have been more mindful of our spending and intentional with our spending, because we've been able to absorb these extra costs. And you're talking hundreds of pounds into our budget. So these spends are, my husband bought some clothes. So his goals in this new year are to sort of invest in himself. He needed some new clothes. He spent £45, £32 and then £10.95. So the best part of £100 on clothes that we wouldn't usually be spending on, because we do not buy clothes, which is part of the reason why we need to buy some clothes. But it's so rare for us to buy clothes. And we've managed to absorb that into this budget, which is amazing. So we've got petrol spends, my husband got his haircut. I needed a new Tipp-Ex mouse from Amazon because the kids pulled all of the Tipp-Ex, I don't know what you call it, the correction tape out of mine, broke it. We have a milk delivery service. And that was £20 a month. Honestly, I absolutely love it. It stops you going to the shop to top up on milk, which keeps you out of the shop, which stops you spending money in the shop. Because if you go in Tesco just for milk, you're not coming out with just milk, are you? A little grocery spend, again, £43 on home improvements. That again was my husband having to go to B&Q for some sort of, oh, I know what it was. Paint, again. We did 2 walls in the living room. We ran out of paint right at the end. So we had to go get some more paint and also like some more bits and bobs, sealant and stuff for the shower. So that's what that is. And again, we've got petrol, food, Subway, Screwfix again is to do with the shower. My husband bought a blazer at the charity shop. Food, more Screwfix, and then again, somewhat unusual, my husband went to the pub with his friend, they had a couple of drinks, so that was £3.30 and £8.55. We've got more petrol, more food, more McDonald's, Sainsbury's and Subway, and that is absolutely everything that we spent as a family between the 25th of December to now. But the question is, how did that stack up with the budget categories that I had set? And when I enter this information into this spreadsheet, I categorise each spend here and it will total it up for me and let us know how we got on. So let's have a look at that section and see what happened. Okay, so here we are in the expense breakdown section, and you can see that it gives me percentages as well. So what the percentage of our spend was. So we spent £461.63 on food. That is amazing for us because we have been spending so much money on food, and I have been so conscious of trying to cut down our food spend this last month. I can't believe that we've managed to spend less than our full budget, because the full budget was £5.25. Usually we'd be way over, but I've been really conscious of our food spend. I've been trying to use things up from the fridge and the freezer, use things up that no one wants to eat, not overbuy when I go to the shop so I don't have food waste. I have this tendency to like overstock the fridge and the freezer, and I don't know why, but I haven't been doing that and it's shown. So that's great. Fun is £171.51, which is in budget. And again, I'm kind of surprised because we had those like trips out with the kids. We went out for breakfast. We went to the ice cream farm. We've really cut down going to the coffee shop. And honestly, that's where we're saving the money, because we were just going to the coffee shop for something to do. And it cost like 25 quid to go in the coffee shop. Now, it's not to say we haven't been, because we've definitely used some gift cards, but that's the only reason we went, because we had a gift card from Christmas or someone's birthday. But keeping out of the coffee shop and cutting down those coffee shop spends and cutting down those something to do visits that cost £25 has helped us stay in budget here. So I'm really happy with that. Miscellaneous is another story and is over budget. So I'd budgeted £200 for miscellaneous, and we spent £282.21. I will say that the majority of that overspend can be accounted for by my husband's buying clothes, which again, unusual. Perhaps we could separate that out to be a separate category, but we went over. But honestly, I'm fine with it. I don't feel like I go through there and I'm like, oh, we spent too much on this or that. The only thing I would say, and I want to keep my eye on, is charity shops. I have a big weakness for buying things at the charity shop. If it's cheap, I might buy it. And I have really challenged myself in the last few months to not go to the charity shop as much. And I think it shows here. And I think the things that we've bought from the charity shop this month are actually, in the majority, good spends. I will say there's probably about £8 that wasn't a great spend. So I just need to be really mindful of that moving forwards. Petrol is £235.41, which is great. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because my husband was off work. I don't know why we spent less on petrol. So I'm going to have to keep monitoring this category and see what's going on there. And then home is the category that I wanted to separate out. So £210.24p. £210.24p that we wouldn't usually be spending, that we've managed to absorb into our budget. I honestly am shooketh. I cannot believe that we've managed to absorb that amount of money into this budget. And that just shows how hard we've worked at reducing our other spends and the other places that we fritter money away. I'm really, really pleased with it. So what we're going to do now is input these numbers up in the top section. 461.63, 171.51, 282.21, 235.41. So before we move on to the home section, you can see we had £63.37p left of our food budget, £28.49 left of our fun budget, and £114.59p of our petrol budget left, which is great. We were minus £82.21 in the miscellaneous budget, so that's obviously eaten up some of those savings. Then we've got home to add on, which I think is going to take us over, but I'll tell you how we've managed it. So if we go down to the bottom of this section, you can see that my budgeted spend was 127,500, so 1,275, and we actually spent 1,361, which is obviously almost £100 over budget. So how have we actually managed that? Because we are ending the month pretty much at zero, not minus £90. And honestly, part of it is cashback. So I withdrew some cashback that I had in the OVERUP app. So essentially every time I do shopping at Tesco, for example, or B&M or wherever, I use the OVERUP app, I get cashback, it builds up in my cashback account. And then when we were getting towards the end of the month, we were running low on money, I withdrew, I think it was about £40 from that app, and then bits and bobs of money from other apps. My husband's got cashback apps. So we withdrew that money, which was able to keep us going until the end of the month. So considering that we had probably about £300 between home stuff and my husband's clothing purchases, that we wouldn't usually have. And then we had those extra expenses for when the kids were off school and like taking days out and stuff that we wouldn't usually have. To end the month with zero is actually amazing for us. And I'm really, really, really pleased with it. What I want to see next month is how much we spend on petrol, because we'll be back to like a normal work schedule. So we should get a better idea of what our normal petrol spend is. This is a little bit of an anomaly because it was Christmas break. So I want to check out what our normal petrol spend is this next month coming. And I'm also curious to see how we go with the food spend, because I have really run down the cupboards and the pantry, and I want to see how we do when it comes to that, because I think that could go up. I would like to reduce the miscellaneous spending, but we are also on a budget home renovations kick. So maybe what I'll do when I set up our next month's budget, I might include a specific budget for home. If you're watching this and thinking, that's not super frugal, you've been to McDonald's, you've bought clothes, when did I say I was frugal? I didn't. And I think that can get people's backs up sometimes. I think some people think that budgeting is all about spending as little as possible. I don't budget so that I can spend as little as possible, personally. I budget so that I can live life. I budget so that we can do things like take the kids to the ice cream farm or go for a coffee sometimes. Like, those things to me are part of enjoying the ride. It's important to save, it's important to invest. We've overpaid our mortgage by over £27,000 in the last 5 years. We are progressing financial goals, but I don't budget to be super frugal and scrimp and scrape and live my life on the absolute bare minimum. I don't want to do that. Tomorrow's not guaranteed. I want to enjoy the ride at the same time as progressing financial goals. That is why I budget. So you're not going to find super frugal content here. What you will find is somebody who makes the most of their money, whether that's using rewards points, loyalty points, getting cash back, getting a good deal, budgeting to include a fun category so that we can have some fun. That's what you're going to find on this channel. And that is what you find in my budget. So that is what we spent. And then the next video, I'm going to be setting up my February budget, which will run from the end of January to the end of February. And there are going to be some changes in that budget because we had a little bit of a shock with childcare, which I'll talk about when I do the next video. To say it's put a spanner in the works of my 2026 household budget that I set up so beautifully is an understatement. So if you want to see that, you definitely need to be subscribed. Let me know what you think of this video. Let me know what you think of how our month went. What do you think of my approach to budgeting and super frugalness? I would love to hear it. Whatever you do, drop me a comment. You have no idea how much dropping a comment on a video like this can help a little channel like mine. I am Lee from Mortgage Freely. I talk about money and mum life on the internet. We do budget with me's, we do grocery hauls, we sort my life out. I'm trying to change my life in 2026. So if that sounds like something you would enjoy, click subscribe and I will see you on the next one.